associate's degree. They're often locally based. They tend to not be very national. They're based within a specific local area. But there are some that are very friendly towards international students and offer dorms for international students. They generally have much lower tuition than either public universities or private universities. And their application process tends to be a lot easier. Many community colleges will only require a low TOEFL score and that you've graduated high school, which in Algeria is your equivalent of passing the BAC, and then a small application fee. Whereas we'll see for other universities, for master's and undergraduate, it's a much more involved. You need to write essays and have letters of recommendation and fill out complex application forms. Now, why apply to community colleges? You may say, Joe, I already have a licence. I already have a master's degree. Why would I start back over at the beginning? And I realize that can be a little bit of a tough sell. But the advantage of a community college is don't focus on what is the level of the degree. Instead, focus, what will this degree do for me? What will it help me accomplish? I used to teach high school many years ago, and we would tell our high school students this. The average income of someone who graduates high school versus someone who doesn't graduate high school is $8,000 higher in the United States. So on average, a high school graduate makes $8,000 more a year than someone that didn't graduate high school. That's your incentive to graduate high school, right? Everybody likes to make more money. Everybody likes to advance their career more. It's the same thing when it comes to universities. So you have to think to yourself, if I get an associate's degree from a community college, if I attend 2 years at a community college and then gain an automatic transfer agreement to a 2-year to do my last 2 years at a 4-year undergraduate university and earn a bachelor's degree, which many students and many community colleges do, what will be my career prospects? What are my likelihood of being employed? There's a community college outside of Washington, D.C. called Northern Virginia Community College. It has an agreement to transfer to some of the universities in Virginia. So many students go to a community college for 2 years, then they transfer to the University of Virginia, which is the 27th best university in the United States, or the College of William and Mary, where I went, which is the 31st best university in the United States. And they have the same diploma that I do. They paid much lower tuition and had a much simpler application process. We've also seen students come back with a community college degree from the US here in Algeria and be very employable by international companies and by different things. Because what does a 2-year degree from the US show? It shows that you have a high level of English. I don't mean to disparage, that's a big word, I don't mean to talk bad about the English programs at many Algerian universities, but I've seen some of the licence students, and it's not a professional working ability coming out of some of those classrooms. Whereas being in the US for 2 years in school, you will have that extremely high level of English. We also here at the embassy hear from a lot of US companies. And these US and other international companies say, we want to hire Algerians for support roles for our companies. We want them as translators, as secretaries, as HR people to work and support for some of our operations here in Algeria. But it's very, very tough. We can't find well-qualified candidates. Now, I can't speak directly for those companies, but I do know, having interviewed for positions here at this embassy, even if somebody had just a 2-year associate's degree and was applying for a position at our embassy, I would jump them straight to the top of the list. I would say we definitely need to interview this person because they're showing something. Even though that associate's degree, even though there may be Algerians with Master's 1 or Master's 2, even though this is a much lower degree, it says something about you and it says something about your skills that makes you very attractive. Okay? So something to consider, something to keep in mind. Different types of degrees. We have academic masters, we have professional masters, and then doctorate programs. Your academic masters is your Masters of Arts or Masters of Science, usually 1 or 2 years, and can lead to a PhD program. Your PhD program, sometimes students enroll directly in the PhD program and earn both a master's and a PhD as part of their studies. The thing I'll flag here is PhD programs can take anywhere from 5 to 8 years plus, and it depends on the subject and the student. Sciences tend to take more towards 5 years. liberal arts like English and things like that tend to take a little closer to the 8+. The last several of which you will focus on writing your dissertation, your final thesis, just like here in Algeria. We also have professional masters though, things like the Masters of Business Masters of Business Administration. That's a degree typically targeted towards mid-career professionals, people that have some work experience. So if you're interested in business, or a master's in business, but you don't yet have some work experience, there are other degrees to target in business other than an MBA. So we're going to talk about research and financial aid opportunities. So I give you a very brief example. This is called Snow College. It's a community college in Utah that offers a 2-year program. The cost is one-year in tuition is $10,500 with room and board, which should be within a lot of people's budget who applied to this community college club. All you need to apply is a high school diploma and a $100 application fee. So it's a very simple application process. And finally, and most importantly, there's international student scholarships available. So it's working to identify. You may look at 100 schools that are not a fit for you. But if you can find the one that is, that satisfies a lot of your criteria, I always think that Snow College is an attractive school for a lot of university students, right? I mean, this checks a lot of boxes. Yeah. That's something to look for. Now, I will also tell you another story. The reason why I highlight Snow is back in that picture of everybody, there's a woman named Karen, and she used to work for Education USA in Saudi Arabia. And she had a student come to her, and he was Yemeni, and he was blind, and he spoke almost no English. And he said, Karen, I want to study in the United States. And Karen is a much nicer person than me, because if it had been me, I would have been like, good luck with that. Let me know how that turns out for you. But she worked with this young man, and he worked hard. And he is now studying on a full scholarship at Snow College. So, if a blind Yemeni student with no money can make it to study in the United States, I know you guys can too, right?
What sort of program, 2 years program?
So 2 years would be the associate's degree. So it's a community college, yes. But yes, a master's degree would also be 2 years. The U.S. higher education system application, typically it's all these things going in together. You apply usually in November or December. The university looks at all these things, evaluates you, and then decides whether to accept or reject you. Now, of these, the most important are your transcripts and your test scores, your academic performance. So think about how you did in school. What were your notes like? That will translate into your GPA. Now, there's many schools, and there's schools for all levels of academic performance. But if you were an average student, if you were okay, shui, then you may want to target a different school than if you had the best baccalaureate scores in Algiers and Prime Minister Salah gave you a laptop computer. In that case, we may say, hey, let's go target Harvard. But if you say to me, hey, I was an average student and I want to go to Harvard, I'd say that's a great dream, but let's look at targeting a different school first, okay? All right, and then the final question and your homework here. Now, you want to think about why, what do you hope to achieve, how will studying in the United States help you achieve that, and why the US? It doesn't matter if it is an exchange program interview, if it is a student visa application, if it is an essay that you're writing. These are questions that you want to spend time thinking about. This is a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of money. And when I have people come in for exchange program interviews and they say, I ask them the question, why do you want to do this? What are you going to do with this opportunity? And they say, well, it's my great dream and I really want to see the United States. I'd say that's great, but I'm looking for somebody who has more of a vision, who has more passion. That's what makes the best student. That's what makes the best Fulbright applicant, and that's what makes the best person that's going to earn a scholarship. So, I've handed you out a sheet that we'll also send around electronically. And this is something to help you define your priorities. Now, it's mostly designed to help you narrow down some of the schools that you're looking at. What is your subject? And if you don't have one, everybody have one?
No.
It's designed to help, what region, what urban. You need one? Pass me one, please. But on the back, it's where I put these really important questions. And you don't have to write these out on the sheet, but you should spend time thinking about them. Just like that first date, right? If you're going to get married to somebody and you decide you love them, you should probably spend more than 5 or 10 minutes thinking about it, right? So when I went to my wife, thanks be to God that she said yes, and I said, I want to marry you. She wanted to know that I'd given it a little bit of thought, right? If I'd said, if she said, why do you want to marry me? And I said, well, because I just want to be married. That's not a very good answer, right? So you want to think about these questions. So what I talk about is, number one, how will your studies advance your life goal? So you're going to get a degree in the U.S. What are your goals in life? Where do you see yourself going? What do you see yourself accomplishing? Okay? And then number two, what does a U.S. degree offer you that another opportunity wouldn't? Sometimes we see students come in and they say, I have a master's in mechanical engineering. I say, that's great, that's wonderful. They say, I want to get a PhD in mechanical engineering in the United States. I say, okay, why? They say, well, because that's just the next level. It goes licence, master's, doctorate. You have to have more than that, than just, I must advance to the next level. It has to serve a purpose, right? It has to be going somewhere. Otherwise, it's not worth doing. And if it's really hard, and studying at any university, let alone a university in a different country, is very hard, then it's not going to be worth doing. So what does a U.S. degree offer you? And how does having a U.S. degree advance what you hope to accomplish? Now, each of you is going to have different goals and different ideas for your life, both personally and professionally. And you want to be able to think about that. And you want to try to be specific with it. So yes, attending any university will improve your skills. You hear that a lot. It'll improve your skills. Skills like what? What will you learn abroad that you couldn't learn in a university in Algeria or someplace else? And then the last questions, what do you hope to accomplish in the future when you return to Algeria? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And how does studying in the United States play a role in helping you achieve your dreams? Okay? And these are questions that can be hard sometimes for young people, but we need to think about them. And plans change, and I almost guarantee you they will change. But we need to think about what our vision is and what we hope to accomplish. Because once we understand what we want to do and where we want to go, then we can work on the how to do it, okay? So you're free to do this or not do this as you want. You can just go home and sit on a park bench and drink a cup of coffee, have a cigarette, and think about it that way. You can write it out, whatever works best for you. So we'll continue meeting and we'll work through this process. So I'll remind you that it will take time, it will take effort, and it will take some hard work. But I have extreme confidence that everybody sitting in this room will have some sort of opportunity. And it's about taking the best shot that you can. Okay? Now, when you do something in life, you want to make sure, so you can ask me right now, Joe, is studying in the U.S., is it possible for me? And I can't answer that question for you. Even if I know everything about you, I can't answer that question for you because I can't predict what will happen. What I can say is this: if it were me, I would want to take my best shot. I would want to put the best version of myself forward, put my best effort into it. And then inshallah, if it happens, then we've done a great thing. But the worst feeling in the world is that feeling of regret, of what I could have done, of what I might have done, if I tried just a little bit harder, or if I worked just a little bit harder. Okay? So thank you very much.
Thank you.
For coming in. I hope to see you next week. I hope that you can't make it in person, that you'll participate online and watch the videos and follow along in the emails. So thank you very much. Does anybody